Hello and welcome to another hangar review. Today we are going to look into this Master League 3 hangar that one of my subscribers submitted. His favorite game mode is Beacon Rush, so let's have a look at his builds. The Fenrir is already at MK2-3 level and you run it with Ember Igniter and Bernadette Wolf. That's a very high DPS build and effective at brawling range, so this seems to be your main beacon tank. You run it with 2 plated armor kits, nuclear amplifier and a healing module, so from what I can see that's great. Don't change it if it works out for you. You may want to consider to equip it with a repair amplifier at a later point, in case you should manage to get your hands on one. It's great to see somebody run the Invader. At level 9 it's not yet the most tanky one, but you also have not optimized it as a tank but as a damage dealer. 2 nuclear amplifiers and a thermonuclear reactor makes a high DPS build out of it with igniters and blaze. However, the big strength of the Invader is its large amount of health, so you should definitely get up its base health in case you would like to continue using it. In Master League it's still fine, but if you're planning to be in Champion League at one point, it will lack a bit of firepower there, so you may need to switch over, for example, to a Revenant then. The Ivory Ravana with 3 Havocs also run this build and it's great. You have the right pilot and you also have optimized it as a damage dealer with 2 overdrive units. You run Phase Shift as an active module, so my guess is that you run it with a glider drone, because if not, a healing module may be slightly more effective. Also, you run 2 overdrive units on the Ravana and 2 nuclear amplifiers on the Invader. Not sure what your idea here is, but the Ravana would also definitely benefit from a nuclear amplifier, so consider swapping one of these with one of the overdrives. The Capri with Toxin Rime, this is an interesting hybrid with very high burst damage. So the idea here is to get all the damage in before a pink shield pops up. This can work out great, but for sure it is a bit of a learning curve, also because the Rime depletes very quickly. So you must be careful that you don't waste all your rockets when you engage. The level of your Capri is still low, which indicates that it is your newest build, but it's definitely worth to develop it further. Just try to get one of the legendary pilots for it. This will make it much more effective. Out of Misaki and Neon, for solo gameplay Misaki is slightly better. Last Stand and Balanced unit is fine for it. I'm not sure about lockdown ammo. You run 4 weapons with area effect that deplete quickly, so in my opinion a healing module is the better choice. The Hellburner with Puncher Shredder, this is definitely a fun build to play. You run it with 2 anti-control modules and Last Stand, so this indicates that this is your Beacon Rush starting bot. Great idea! You run in and explode your opponents out. This is quite effective against Orochis, especially since you run Quantum Raider and the Adrian pilot that provides additional DPS. Finally, you run a low-level Heimdall Titan with 4 Cyclones, which indicates that this is a quite new build in your hangar. With 2 anti-control modules, it is quite resilient. However, despite the recent small buff for the Heimdall, its biggest problem is still that it dies quite quickly due to low amounts of health. So you still don't see a lot of Heimdalls in Champion League. But when you see them, almost all of them run 4 lantern weapons, so this should also be your long-term goal in case you like the playstyle of the Heimdall. It is more a support build and not so much of a brawler, except if you tandem up with some other healers. With regard to modules, definitely keep the 2 anti-control ones. In medium terms, maybe you can get an Onslaught Reactor or some other useful modules, for example Quantum Raider. So in summary, this is a decent Beacon Rush hangar for Master League 3. You have very fun builds in there and some of them can bring you into Champion League, if you keep leveling them up. The Invader and the Hellburner I would rather see as a fun choice. When you go further up the leagues, you may think about replacing them with something that provides you with more DPS, but you still have a bit of time until you end up there. So what would I try to improve next year? The next thing in my opinion should be to bring up the level of your Capri. This is the best robot of the game, so it is also worth to try to get a legendary pilot for it. For now, you can keep Toxin Rime, but at a later point consider to swap the Rimes with something else. For example with 2 blaze weapons of the Invader. Also, show some love to your Toxins. These are great and versatile weapons, so they deserve to go to level 9 or 10 at least. Finally, you did a good job in building this Ravana, so I would also continue to increase the level of your Havocs, because with the right drone, a nuclear amplifier and Arnov Poe, this will become a monster. So that concludes my hangar review of this Master League 3 hangar. In case you want your hangar to be reviewed as well, In the description of this video you find instructions on how you can apply. Thanks a lot for listening in and see you on my channel.